Every morning without fail, I walk my dog, Jake. It's become a bit of a routine. Wake up, make some coffee, throw on a hoodie, and head out the door just as the sun starts to rise. Jake loves it, and honestly, so do I. There's something peaceful about those early hours before the rest of the world wakes up. It's quiet, with just the soft rustle of leaves and the occasional chirp of a bird. Most days, nothing out of the ordinary happens. I've run into the same people now and then, an older woman who jogs with her headphones in, a guy with a golden retriever who always gives me a friendly nod, and a few others. Jake likes sniffing the same trees and bushes, marking his territory, and chasing the occasional squirrel. The walk is usually uneventful, and that's how I like it. But then, about a week ago, things started to get weird. At first, it was just small things, little shifts that I didn't think much about at the time. I noticed a few holes along the side of the trail we walk on, like small tunnels dug into the ground. Jake was obsessed with them, nose deep in the dirt, sniffing around. I figured it was just some wildlife, maybe rabbits or chipmunks, so I tugged on his leash and kept moving. The next couple of mornings, I noticed the holes had multiplied. What was once just a couple of little burrows was now an entire line of them, spread along the trail. Jake was more excited than ever, tugging hard on his leash to investigate each one. I started to feel a little uneasy. There were just too many of them to ignore. But I brushed it off. It's nature, right? Animals burrow, dig, and move around. Nothing strange about that. Until today. It started like any other morning. The sky was just starting to brighten, the air was cool, and the leaves crunched underfoot as Jake and I set off down the usual path. I noticed the holes were still there, maybe even more of them now, but I didn't think much of it. I figured Jake would do his usual routine of sniffing and marking, and we'd be back home before I knew it. We were about halfway through the walk when Jake suddenly froze. His ears perked up and his body tensed. His leash pulled tight in my hand. I followed his gaze and saw it. A fat little groundhog standing just a few feet off the trail, watching us. It didn't move, didn't run or burrow like most wild animals would. It just stood there, completely still, staring at us with these glassy black eyes. Jake growled low in his throat. I tugged on his leash, trying to get him to move, but he wouldn't budge. The groundhog took a step forward, and that's when I noticed more of them, popping out of the holes along the trail, one by one. There must have been at least 6 or 7, all standing upright, staring at us. A cold chill ran down my spine. Something was off about them. They weren't acting like normal animals, no skittish movements, no fear. They just stood there, watching. And then, all at once, they started moving toward us. "Come on, Jake, let's go," I muttered, pulling hard on his leash. But before we could get away, the groundhogs charged. I know how crazy this sounds. Groundhogs of all things, attacking. But I swear to you, that's exactly what happened. They came at us fast, scurrying across the ground, teeth bared. Jake barked furiously, lunging at them, but they were quick. Too quick. I felt one of them bite at my ankle, its sharp little teeth sinking into my sock. I yelped, kicking it off, but more of them swarmed in. Jake was snapping at them, trying to keep them away, but there were too many. Panic set in, and I did the only thing I could think of. I ran. I sprinted down the trail, yanking Jake along with me. The groundhogs were right behind us, their claws scratching against the dirt, their little teeth snapping at our heels. I was running full speed when my foot caught on a root. I went down hard, face first into the dirt, my breath knocked out of me. Jake yanked on the leash, trying to pull me up, but the groundhogs were on me before I could move. I felt sharp bites at my feet and ankles, little claws scratching at my shoes. I kicked wildly, trying to get them off, but they were relentless. They swarmed around me, their beady eyes glinting in the dim morning light. For a moment, I thought I was done for. I was going to be taken down by a pack of rabid groundhogs, right there on the trail. But somehow, maybe out of pure adrenaline, I managed to get to my feet. I scooped up Jake in my arms and ran like hell, not even bothering to look back. I could still hear the scratching of their claws behind me, but I didn't stop. I couldn't. By the time I made it back to the entrance of the trail, my heart was pounding, my legs burning, and my feet throbbing from the bites. I set Jake down, panting, and looked back down the path. The groundhogs were gone. I stood there, gasping for breath, trying to make sense of what just happened. But there was nothing. No sign of them, no sound, just the quiet hum of the morning. Jake was still on edge, his ears twitching, his eyes scanning the bushes like he expected them to come charging back out at any moment. I couldn't blame him. I felt the same way. I hobbled home as fast as I could, the bites on my ankles stinging with every step. Once I got inside, I locked the door behind me, double-checking it out of pure paranoia. Jake collapsed on the floor, exhausted but unharmed, while I sat on the couch, trying to wrap my head around what had just happened. I've walked that trail 100 times and never once had a problem. So why today? Why did those groundhogs act like that? Like they were defending something? Or worse, like they were hunting us? I haven't gone back to the trail since, and I'm not sure I ever will. There's something about those groundhogs that just doesn't sit right with me. I've tried looking it up, reading about animal behavior, rabid groundhogs, anything that might explain what happened. But nothing comes close to what I experienced. All I know is that something wasn't right. And if you ever find yourself on a morning walk, minding your own business, and you notice a few too many holes along the path, just turn around. Don't stick around to see what comes crawling out.